Hello there, World of Tankers. Welcome to the channel. Hopefully all of you are doing well out there. I'm, of course, your host, Deadliest Blitz, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the only auto-loading / auto-reloading Tier 10 medium in World of Tanks Blitz, being the Progetto 65. When you think of Tier 10 vehicles, and you think of autoloaders, you think of vehicles like the FE 4005, even the Foch. You go over to the heavy tanks, you got the T57 Heavy, the AMX 50B. You move over to the light tanks, and you have the Batchat. But when looking at the medium class, there's only one tank that even has a clip, which is the Progetto. Now, I absolutely love this tank. It not only has an extremely deadly clip, it's able to deal 1,050 damage in a matter of seconds, but not only does it have that, it's got great mobility. It's upwards of 58 kilometers per hour. The upper plate on this tank is actually able to bounce a lot of 120mm shells and actually some larger calibers, which of course is fantastic. That upper plate is great for ricocheting a lot of shots. In fact, the Progetto 65 is one of the best tier 10 mediums you can currently grind for. Now, I will say that tanks like the T62A, the WZ121, even the STB1 are all-round better tanks. They've got, of course, great mobility and super accurate guns, but one thing they don't have is the potential to deal 1,000 damage in a matter of 6 seconds. That is crazy. That means that I can take apart any tier 10 vehicle and pretty much easily, easily come out on top as it is. And as well, this thing's got great gun depression. It's got 9 degrees, and on flat ground, that's where the mobility really does come into play, because this tank was actually nerfed on the mobility. It used to be way faster, but it turned out that this tank was so overpowered that not only did Wargaming nerf the mobility on this vehicle, but they also nerfed the aiming time. And yeah, you'll notice that the dispersion on move with this vehicle is definitely not something you want to brag about. Now, the Sheridan looks like he's going to be rushing me. I'm not really sure what the Sheridan is doing, but you'll notice I waited until I had another shell loaded in the clip here. That way I could tap that Sheridan one more time. Now, if I had fired one shell into that Sheridan, I probably would not have been able to get another one out into him. That's one little fun fact, is when using auto reloaders, you really have to know how to use them correctly. They're very tricky tanks, and if you don't do them correctly, they are very hard to run. Now, we did manage to bounce that standard B, which of course is my fantastic luck, but thankfully we were able to get one little beefy shell right into that standard B. And the great thing about auto reloaders is you'll notice that I have a shell back in the gun already. That means that I don't need to worry about missing the enemy tank. So you've got maybe that, oh, we do have that standard B, but he's not sticking at his tank. Although we did just get snapped by that 4005. But again, I'm able to hit him not only once, but maybe even twice if he shows his weak armor. The real guy that I want to shoot is that standard B. Of course, he's got very easy shots on me. There you go. Okay, the standard B was taken out. And the nice thing is we still have a lot of hit points left. We're sitting at 1,187 because this tank actually has a very nice amount of HP as it is, sitting at 2,014. So that was a nice little tap into the T62A. This tank not only having that big auto-loading gun, but it also has a massive amount of burst damage with that shot because it's 350 damage per shot. So that means that 62A we could have easily finished off with 2 shells, but now we're able to get not only one shot into this 4005, but we can load a high explosive and get another shell into him, dealing 455 damage. And in a normal auto-loading tank, of course, you'd have to reload the entire clip. But with this vehicle here, you can see, of course, I'm reloading one shell after another. Now, I'm going to wait until I do have 2 shells in the clip here. That way I can start shooting at vehicles like the WT. But there's one nasty HE into the WT. There's 2. Let's get to the side so he can't hit me, of course. Use that excellent mobility I have. And let's get a final shell into the side of this Vickers CR. And this was a perfect game to really show the advantages of the Progetto over other tier 10 mediums. I was able to do 4,000 damage this battle. And while we still have a lot of hit points left, we were able to really push this tank super aggressive, as you saw there, against a lot of enemy opponents here. I'm going to actually wait until I have that last shell in my clip before I'm going to start shooting at this T95E6. That way we really have the maximum potential of damage. There you go. That was a 395 damage shot. And we're going to shoot 2 more into this E6 if we can. There's one, and get 1 more into him. So that was over 5,500 damage dealt this game. Maybe even a little bit of a love tap. Nah, I wanted to see if we could finish him off. But you know what? Looks like we're even able to get another shell in. Of course, again, an autoloader would not have been able to shoot that E6 with that final shell. So, of course, after seeing that first game, which was a crazy result, over 5,500 damage, you can definitely see that the Progetto is a really strong tier 10 medium. And while it definitely lacks in the gun department, at least on the accuracy, 0.326 dispersion and 3.2 seconds aiming time isn't spectacular, especially with the dispersion on move. It really does let it down in certain scenarios. But the great thing about the Progetto is just how mobile it is on at least the top speed, going over 58 kilometers per hour, and as well, just how deadly that that clip is. A lot of people say that this tank isn't good because it has very bad damage per minute. And yes, while shooting it single shot would be terrible DPM, the thing is that when you unload this tank with a clip, you have more effective damage per minute in that 6 seconds than any other medium tank in the game. That makes this tank extremely deadly, because when you think about it, yeah, you might not have good DPM, but in 6 seconds, I've dealt 1,100 average, we'll say, just with a little bit of a high roll. So I brought what was a 1,800 health or a 1,900 health Sheridan down to a 700 health Sheridan sometimes. And what happens after that is 700 health is literally 2 shells. That means in 14 seconds, plus the 6, so about 20 seconds, I can finish off the entirety of a tier 10 medium just because of that super deadly clip. And that is where having a clip is extremely important, especially in a vehicle like an auto reloader, is, yeah, while you have really bad damage per minute shooting it single shot, the crazy thing is that half the time, once you've lowered the enemy, it really does hurt them quite a bit. So we got that 57 right up on top of that ridge. There's one nice tap into that 57. Are we going to be able to get another? Does not look like it, but we'll see if that 57 continues, which he did. So, ooh, that was actually a really poor miss there. It looks like the shell velocity on this tank is a little bit worse than I thought it was. And again, you can see the dispersion there not being the best. Again, as I said, dispersion on this vehicle definitely lacking in some of the departments. But at the same time, I'm just going to reload that clip and let that reload sink in there. So while we're reloading that clip, I can push up here, maybe help out the team. I think these guys are going to be pretty much taken care of. So let's push on. Let's see if we can get out some damage. We got the Vickers off to the side, but the main guys I want to start shooting at are like the TDs over here, especially if they have a WT sitting back here, like this guy right here. This is really going to hurt him. So not only did he bounce us because this thing is super troll armor, but we have literally brought what was a full health WT down to a literal one-shot. And yeah, now in a normal medium tank, well, of course you would have to reload the entire clip if you were in an autoloader. There, we're just able to reload one single shell back into the gun and make our tank super deadly once again. Now that is an E100 right there, and yeah, that's going to hurt quite a bit if we're not able to get around that corner, but thankfully we were. And that means, again, that I'm able to be extremely deadly. This Vickers that did tap 2 shells into us, now we're able to get 1 shell in there, and if this Vickers tries pushing on us again, which it looks like he is, we're able to get another extremely deadly shell back into him. Now, you did notice, that was where the DPM on this tank really struggles. Like, that was extremely poor damage per minute. In fact, you know, any other tank, even a tier 9 light, is able to out damage per minute me there. But again, we're able to just get a very nasty shell into that Vickers there. Not only that, but he did bounce the shell on us at the exact same time. And now we've got the tank like the E100 that is out in the open. We're going to see if we can start to unload some very deadly shots into him. And there you go, a nice shot right up the butt. So this was another fantastic battle to really show how strong the Progetto is. We didn't get out the most damage, but we still did do a very solid amount. I think it was just about 3,000 with that RAM, so we can of course take a look here. I have to go into the replay. It is a bit of a pain. I don't know what's wrong with my game, but you know, if we still broke 3,000, I cannot complain. It's just a couple seconds longer, and there we go. So we just broke 3,000 damage, sitting at 3,023, and that was about an average game in the vehicle, to be honest. You definitely saw that the DPM does tank when there's vehicles that are shooting at you after you only have single shots loaded. That Vickers was able to tap 3 shells into me when I was only able to hit 3 back into him. But of course, if I had reloaded that entire clip, I would have brought what was a full health Vickers down to about 500 health, and then I could have literally just loaded in 2 shells and easily killed him in almost any scenario. Not only that, but the Progetto has really good frontal armor going for it. While the turret is absolutely awful, it's pretty much like a paper bag, the thing that's really troll on this tank is the upper plate, because when this thing is facing you on flat ground, that upper plate is about just 70 degrees, which 72 degrees is an auto ricochet. So depending on how tall your tank is and what type of shells you are firing, this tank gets a crazy amount of ricochets right on that upper plate because you can see that super steep angle. So the Progetto has got a lot of things going for it, and that is why I personally love it. It is one of my favorite tier 10 mediums and one of my favorite tier 10 vehicles overall in Blitz. Let me know, of course, what you guys think in the comments down below if you agree with me or you disagree. But other than that, hopefully all of you are doing well out there. If you enjoyed today's video and you want to see more like it, please make sure to smash that subscribe button down below. But other than that, hopefully all of you are doing well out there. Stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.